Boom.
There
There
we
we
go.
go. All
There
right.
we
Well,
go.
welcome, guys, to the second panel to the fifth annual Haitian International Film Festival with our leader Jacques Will. And we just finished watching these incredible films. You know, we heard before all about all the producers that are going on and how to make the films, and now we're meeting the filmmakers themselves. Comme dit ça en créole, bien vite pour tout le monde qui a regardé en créole. Nous là avec tout le monde qui crée film que nous fait quoi. Il y a 10 minutes, il y a 7 minutes, il y a 21 minutes, mais c'est bel film d'Haïti. On a parlé de bagages de Racine Haïti, de tout bagage qui arrivait de nous pour nous connaître l'histoire, pour nous connaître l'ancêtre. So, jeudi, on a parlé avec tout le monde. Jacques Will, nous sommes contents que nous tous là pour nous regarder un film sérieux et aussi participer à le 5e annuel Haitian Film Festival. OK? Le festival, voilà.
Hey,
Bravo, bravo.
Bon, Jacques Will, take it away.
okay, so I'd like to know what made you guys go back home on your films. What was the motivation for you to go back home and shoot a film, you know, in Benin and Haiti and kind of restore, you know, like really deep back into the culture? Gigi, we'll start with you.
So, bonsoir, bonsoir. Hi, everybody. So my short film is called Brooklyn to Benin, a Vodou pilgrimage. And one of the things that I, as a Haitian, as they call us, those of us in the diaspora, or Timun ki sot lot bodlo, right? That's us over here. I've always had a curiosity in learning about our culture, right? And so some of it I got from my family, and other part of it I had to really dig in for myself. So Vodou is something that many Haitians may be comfortable with talking about or uncomfortable. And so for me, when I became a student at Bowie State University, hail up HBCUs, I decided to go deeper and deeper and to begin the research. And so one of the things that I found is that our indigenous Black traditions survived. They survived slavery, they survived rape, they survived colonialization, they've survived, right? Because it's a part of our Racine, it's a part of who we are, whether we also claim Catholicism, whether we also claim Baptist, whatever, Pentecostal, there's a part of us that always remains. And so I found where I'm living here in Brooklyn that people continue to practice. And then as I traveled south, I found that people were continuing to practice. Of course, in going home, under a lot of persecution though, Haitians still practice. And I had to return to the roots, which comes from Dahomey, which is now Benin. And so when I started this adventure, it was in the US and then going to Haiti. And then of course, going to Benin. And I went to Benin in 2016 during the Vodou festival that happens every January. And so that was a big part of my impetus.
Great. And I will have, be sure you ask Pierre the same question, but in Creole, because he's only Creole,
Yes,
Creole or French or Francais.
The question was...
The question was, why did he shoot his project and reconnect with Benin, like taking his, doing his film back in...
La question pour vous, c'est la raison pourquoi que vous avez fait faire ce film-là pour retourner en Haïti, à Benin. Et on voulait seulement savoir exactement ta pensée, la raison qui t'a motivé pour réaliser ce film-là. Pierre?
I think he doesn't have his mic.
Oh, chair meet, voilà.
Ok. Et en fait, bon, une bagay, tout d'abord, on va saluer chaque monde qui sont pas.
D'accord.
Tout d'abord, on va saluer chaque monde qui sont pas là. Et vraiment content ensemble avec nous après-midi pour nous suivre le débat sacré dans fait au cinéma, surtout sur la culture haïtienne. En fait, pour ça qui a un rapport ensemble avec ça qui vraiment été motivé, faut moi dire que c'était un programme qui était postulé pour les apprendre parce que c'était dans le cadre d'un échange entre Haïti, l'école de cinéma Haïti, l'université Sonny Purchase de New York, l'école de cinéma au Benin qui est l'ISMA. Et donc, échange côté que tu gagné des jeunes haïtiens qui parlent travail ensemble avec les jeunes cinéastes américains et les jeunes cinéastes africains. Et que les montés apprendre des projets, ça me excité pour me découvrir pour la première fois. Et en même temps, tout que les gens filment les racines, pour me essayer à connecter vraiment ensemble avec source là. Et parce que un petit cas paraît étrange, parce que dans l'idée, il m'a tête moins, et ça me fait penser des Bénin, là, me révèle complètement différent. Moi, au départ, j'ai un souci pour me faire un film sur tout ça, l'ouverture et tout ça, pour essayer de comprendre plus de racines, tout ça, l'ouverture, des grands-parents, mais par contre, les moyens qui vivent sur le territoire là, ils vont changer le sujet. On dit que moi, histoire de façon personnelle, qui puisse rapport avec toujours, par rapport en tant que haïtien, en tant que noir, et par rapport avec religion famille, tout. On a dit que fait une religion chrétienne, pas c'est pasteur. On fait toute vie moi à confronter des obstacles qui ont rapport avec religion. Là que m'a fait des recherches, je viens découvrir que Vodou a lui-même qui pour nous en tant que haïtien, et à chaque fois que on subit et me dit des violences psychologiques tout, de façon que imposer un bagage que en dans famille et en dans société a projeté. Et pendant que vous-même, vous vous rendez compte que c'est les mêmes qui prouvent le fait qu'il a projeté. Et ça te fait un pile impact sur moi personnellement. Les moyens aller l'autre bord, pour moi, ouais, vraiment, c'est similitude qui gagne en deux religions, ça, et que côté que Racine Vaudois même, c'est bien qu'il était sorti. Bon, ça compte dans l'histoire là, et nous avons chance tout, et explorer d'autres pistes qui ont rapport ensemble avec l'esclavage, et pour voir qui ça était passé. Et tout bagay ça, on a dit moi-même, laissez vraiment d'état pour un monde qui était allé, mais qui tourne un message pour te voir haïtien pas de chance aller. C'est monde qui va te aller au Benin, bah au chance que à travers le projet ça, ils ont une idée qui ça Benin, mais qui bosse dans cette monde. Et ça fait même dans terme Vodou, l'homme mourir en Haïti, il dit il aller à l'Ada et à l'Ada là du aller côté spiritualité, c'est une tribu au Benin qui est à l'Ada. Pour traverser pour l'Ada, ça veut dire ou tourner dans source là, ou tourner dans racine là.
Ça tu qui pas gain tête là, pas vrai?
Exactement.
Yeah, exactement, ouais.
Elle dit et corps arrêté là, mais spirituellement esprit en tourner quand il est sorti. C'est tout ça.
Just to translate real quick, basically he says that his motivation started off with a program, a film program that's called ISA, c'est pas ça? ISA, c'est programme là?
Non, programme intérieur, programme transnational. Et ISMA, c'est l'école de cinéma Benin.
ISMA is a school of film in Benin. And basically, he started with the program, and he had the interest to go there. And he had his own idea of what it was going to be. But once he went over there, he had a personal relationship due to the fact of the religion aspect of it and what he learned about it. Because originally, he wanted to do a film about Toussaint Louverture, and he went down there. And then once he started learning it, he kind of veered off to his personal life because he realizes how relatable it is. And doing his research, he saw that you know, the Vodou is one of the main religions that it's our base for the Haitian people. Although he is Christian and he is Protestant, he learned through this process of doing this film that Vodou is indeed like our core. And therefore, in doing that, he got even more interested into it. And he learned so much about like, for example, in his film, he talks about the place where you basically, after you pass away, your spirit goes into this place because it's more of a spiritual aspect of it. And the wonderful thing about his experience is realizing that even though he is Christian in religion, Vodou is still your base. You could still have Vodou as your base. And you know, at first he thought he probably, you know, it would be something that's like not talked about, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it. But it is something that really he appreciated, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then AJ, what was the reason? This drumming, like I thought it was so beautiful. And how you just brought it back to life. So tell me, what was your reason of going back to Haiti and shooting a documentary about this traditional Haitian film?
Thank you so much for that. That's definitely something great to hear, and that was a goal to make people feel this from a film. It's hard to do hard to capture this stuff. But I really appreciate hearing that. And also thank you so much for selecting this film and putting in this wonderful block. I think they all complement each other really well. And I'm very excited. And this is the first viewing of this film too. So it's a really special day for me today. And on top of that, to answer your question, so exactly 5 years ago today, August 15th, 2015, I'm a freelance photographer. I do a lot of music and food and editorial stuff here in Brooklyn, New York. And I wanted to go on vacation. And whenever I travel anywhere, I always bring a camera with me and, you know, a lavalier and this and that. But really, I was going to Haiti to just meet some friends who were living there. And they have a photography school called Photo Combit. I think maybe you guys know a few people. But I was basically going there to go to the beach and hang out and, you know, really get away from my home. And while I was down there on the beach, a friend of a friend, Ajay, who you see in the film, he's the customer buying the drum about a minute and a half into the film. You know, we were just on the beach talking, and he was like, "Hey, I'm going to pick up some drums from this guy, and he's pretty interesting." He's like, "You brought a camera, right?" And all this stuff. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, totally. Let's do it." And you know, the next day we got in a pickup truck, went down to Cité Soleil, and that's the beginning of the film right there. You know, Junior obviously was the guy that he bought the drums from, and started to get a little bit of a story. And when I brought the footage home, you know, I don't speak Creole, so I was getting it translated, you know, on the fly, but also then I had someone do it for me. And I was like, whoa, I missed a lot of points to like dig in a little bit more. So, you know, I quickly started to sketch out a script for what we already had and what we needed. And, you know, I made a couple more return trips. And then, you know, I started to think a lot about, because I was a musician, I'm not like retired musician, but I sometimes say that jokingly. But I've been at a point where music isn't that much a part of my life anymore. And I really started to get that feeling from Junior. And so I wanted to look into that. Like, did his band like evaporate when Azor passed away, which is kind of the vibe he's giving? Are kids no longer interested in the drum? And so I was like, let's go to Carnival and just show a bunch of kids these clips from the 90s, these live clips, and see how they feel about it. I kind of went in there like, do you know who this is? And they're all like, yeah. And I found that to be really encouraging. And, you know, in my hotel room, after filming all that stuff, I just got like, I got to go back to Junior tomorrow and show him these kids talking about his band. And that's where I really saw this film really coming together. And I was like, that's it. So I sort of feel like I got a new home in Haiti through this.
That's great. And can you guys sum up, like, what were some of your struggles of doing your film? We'll start with Gigi.
Struggles. I think that initially in trying to do any type of film, there's always this thought about resources, right? There's always this place in which you're thinking about, oh, you know, how am I going to make this happen? And so the desire to do this for me was also a part of a spiritual calling. So one of the things, the reason why I called the film a pilgrimage, a pèlerinage, because when you decide to dive into a spiritual work, you can't be concerned about money. You can't. Literally, you have to go on faith. And so this journey, this Brooklyn to Benin, a Vodou pilgrimage, is really a journey of faith. And so, you know, from my visa that was given to me by the ambassador in Washington, D.C., from my ticket that was given to me by friends of the family, arriving to Benin with $40 in my pocket, a GoFundMe on my Facebook page and my IG page. I was like, all right, the money's flowing in. I got some place to stay. I got some place to go. And so I think that was really it. It was the releasing of that feeling of anxiety of how am I going to get this done? I don't know a Benin filmmaker who's going to shoot the part that I want to shoot there. I had a lot of footage already, right? But I was like, okay, how's this going to come together? And eventually I just had to let it go. I had to let it go. I got on the plane and arrived, and I ended up staying in Benin for 2 years. So when we think about the problems that we might have, that sometimes can stop us. But when we really start getting into the root of things and we really release that very human side of us that is always, enumerating all of the problems, that we have to get to the other side of us, to that divine part of us, the part of us that has our faith, and just allow that to wash away. So that was a part of the journey for me.
Thank you so much. Now, what were we gonna say, Bashir?
Oh no, I mean that's wonderful. I was just gonna make sure Pierre was ready.
Ask Pierre the same question.
Pierre, question pour demander nous c'est qui problème que arrivé là faire film ça. Est-ce que tu as deux trois problèmes, difficultés pour faire film là? Est-ce qu'on peut parler de ça?
Oui, et là nous arrivons difficulté au terrain pour nous faire film là parce que dans un premier temps c'est pas chose qui est facile pour rencontrer avec comme des dit des rois et des personnalités dans la question Vodou. Et faut gagner rendez-vous et nous pouvons aller nous prendre faire 3 semaines notre bois. C'est même pas par rapport que nous c'est haïtiens, les apprendre que Haïti nous sorti par rapport avec un pile comme des dit respect l'amour yo gain pour haïtien. Ça te fait que obstacle pas même gens que tu étais un étranger. Et par la suite et au départ, il pas aussi facile. Par exemple, nous devons tourner dans la tribu à l'Ada et une plus gros obstacle que nous devons joindre. Et dans un premier temps, pas accepter un contrat avec nous. Les deviner accepter un contrat avec nous parce que dans des haïtiens, mais pas de bonne autorisation pour nous filmer. Et pas aucun côté tout nous devons filmer dans la tribu parce que pas de autorisation. Moi, c'est un plus gros obstacle que nous avons rencontré.
Basically, he was saying that one of the major issues was meeting the king, the spiritual kings of this area, because at first they were kind of hesitant of accepting anybody to come in, but because they have the love for Haitians, it was very, then they were like, oh wow, okay, they're Haitian, that is, bring them in and allow them to film. But it was a very difficult thing, not only to meet the king, but also to shoot certain areas, because he has to have authority to be able to do that. But once they found out that they were Haitian, they actually opened the door for him and was able to do that. But that was probably one of the major obstacles of the shoot, is getting permission.
Right. The Haitian pass works.
Yeah.
Cuba, other places.
The Haitian card. So basically, everybody get your Haitian card. If you don't claim it now, homie.
Et puis après, obstacle nous gagné, c'était barrière langue par rapport avec l'équipe non et pas gain parler anglais, mais c'était plus ou moins plus facile avec africain pour parler français. Et c'était une petite barrière ça, mais par contre nous réussi quand même, il y a nos moyens nous résultats. Parce que là, on va parler anglais, c'est réalisateur, technicien, c'est caméraman. On est directeur de photographie, ils sont américains, preneurs de son sont américains. Parfois, mais heureusement, des bons assistants qui a fait traduction pour nous.
And also language barrier was one of them too, because his producers, his cameraman was American. And so the language barrier was a big thing, but luckily enough, he had an assistant that was able to help him out with the translation. So, learn your French and Creole, people. One thing
I would add is that for me, my Creole wasn't that great. My French was like college French. And when I got there, what started to happen is as my French got better, my Creole got worse, right? So being there for 2 years, I actually got the language again, because as Haitian, we know those are our first languages. So I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And it's something that, once you're in the environment, that's one thing that's beautiful about Creole. And nous not consider ça. Ba ki belle de Creole is that once you're around it, you will learn it. Lors tout Creole, carrément commencer à apprendre l'imbaron qui j'en nous fait li. Parce que there are people that, like, I have cousins that grew up here. I grew up in Haiti. But they grew up here, never learned the language whatsoever. But because of their parents, like slowly but surely, because I used to call them blum, they got to see blum, but I was a bad kid. but then seeing them being around us all the time, suddenly this dude is like talking Creole like it's nothing. So that's one thing I find with Creole that is so beautiful. And I love that you guys are really tapping into even the deeper spiritual aspect of it, because I feel like the language itself also lands with the spirituality as well too. It is a beautiful language that's powerful and that's connected, because the fact that it could translate so easily to one another, especially us, says a lot.
Yeah. And what the last question will be with AJ, because another film is starting. But AJ, what was some of your struggles with your project?
Well, first I want to say, Gigi, I feel you about the resources. A lot of mine was covered with airline miles and hotel points and whatnot. But I mean, there's a lot of different things. I think just the filmmaking, has a lot of difficulties you don't even know about until you get there. Once you start piecing things together, you're like, oh, that's a problem or whatnot. But I kind of felt like with this, I had a lot of different audiences that I wanted to please all at the same time. Like I wanted to make something that, I know I'm showing this at, American Film Fest. So I want to make sure that it's universal and people can, quickly like Junior right away and understand him and be impressed by him, and then feel like his journey that's going on too, and then be surprised and happy for him. But I also want to make sure like someone who knew the Rasin music and grew up with it, like respected the film too. And also I've got, I want the drum heads to like this film too. So like, there's a lot of corners I turned where like, I hope I'm doing this right. And I had a ton of people that I pushed this film through to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down on certain things. And, now we're here.
Well, I want to say thank you guys so much for creating your films, this Q&A, and where, just enjoy watching more Haitian films. And I think this all inspires. Any last words you guys would like to say?
Again, I really, really appreciate it, and looking forward to the next feature and all the stuff on Sunday. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I would say merci. It's wonderful. You've been doing this 5 years. I'm surprised I hadn't heard about it before, but the way we are as the Haitians, we are always find a way to stay connected. And I say many blessings to you and many blessings to all of the filmmakers that we continue to tell our stories. And one thing that's really important is recognizing the space where if we are helping to tell someone else's story, that we always work and move with honor and respect.
Pierre Mondo, est-ce que vous avez un dernier mot pour dire nous?
Et moi, vraiment souhaiter tout le monde un beau festival. Et je suis content de faire l'expérience. Ce n'est pas la première fois que je participe dans ce festival. Et j'espère continuer à participer parce que c'est une façon de permettre l'autre monde qu'on est en Haïti, son l'autre facette, parce que plus de tendance à pauvreté, à misère, à politique et tout ça. Mais nous-mêmes qui Haïti, nous avons comment nous avons une image positive de Haïti, même si le problème existe. Et je souhaite tout le monde bon festival et bonne chance avec l'équipement. Je souhaite que si la comment continue à grandir pour l'année prochaine, plus films qui passent, plus films qui sont Haïti qui participent là-dedans.
Absolutely. He says he's very happy to be participating. Also, the fact that he's participated before. He wishes everybody that's in the festival very good luck for this wonderful, festival, and that this is a great way of allowing Haitian films to be shown here. And he prays that we continue to have a relationship where we could have these films from Haiti to be shown here, and he's very thankful for that. So thank you so much, and again, good luck to all the festival participants.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Let's watch. We have a documentary right now that's playing, Out of Chaos. So you guys watch that, and we'll have the Q&A after that. So hopefully we'll see you guys there. Bye bye.
Ciao.
Bye bye.
Merci.
Yeah.